So to hide everybody out there, I'm telling you, this is fast today. So my next guest, I can't wait to bring her on. I have with me Susan Frere, and she's the owner of Shed Gal. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here finally.
I know. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so at Shed Gal we offer sheds, metal buildings, outdoor bars, Alumawood pergolas, shipping container tiny homes, shipping containers swimming pools, shipping containers for storage. We're bringing on outdoor furniture and all sorts of outdoor accessories. So we're having a great time.
Shed Gal's got it all. That's amazing.
We're having a great time.
And you are growing. Before you came on, you happened to tell me that you're the most well-known gal in your industry.
It's not bragging, it's just reality.
Tell me why.
Yeah. You know, there was a video on the Upflip channel on YouTube a few years ago, and when I looked last week, it had close to 360,000 views. But what I did in that video was, you know, it offered up help if people wanting to get into the shed business, or they were already in the shed business, but perhaps they were struggling to reach out to me. And to this day, I still have people from across the country reach out to me. So what that did was it made, you know, my name very, very well known in the shed industry, which has opened up some fantastic opportunities.
Well, you know, what's really neat is that you are in several states across the country, right? And you don't just do the sheds that we continually think about, like, you know, the little outdoor sheds that are out there. You do way more than that.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're currently in Phoenix on North 99th Avenue, just south of Thomas. We're getting ready to move literally right next door onto a 3-acre property. And then we are in Easley, South Carolina, and we are right now in the middle of opening in Duncan, Oklahoma, and Franklin, Kentucky. So it's
How did
pretty
you start
cool.
this?
So it was about 8 years ago. My husband and I lived up in Western Washington, and we wanted to buy a shed. And I would go to shed dealers, and they weren't there during normal business hours, or they wouldn't return my call. And I went to a manufacturing plant and tried to buy a shed there, and they're like, well, we don't sell them here, we just, you know, build them, and, you know, you need to go to one of our dealers. And it's like, well, your dealers aren't there and they don't return my call. So during that time I was at the plant, I said to the owner, someone really needs a good dealer that does things differently. And he said, yeah, we sure do. And I said, well, I think you just found her. And it was about 14 days later I sold my first shed.
Wow.
Which was, I believe, right around the 1st of August of 2017.
That's pretty interesting. Now, we're going to talk about she sheds, because I said that before you came on,
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about she sheds.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. You know, our customers over the years have anything you can think of, they have used their building for. Hair salon, medical spa, she sheds, tiny homes.
Great idea.
If you go to my Facebook page, which is Shed Gal, I just posted an absolutely amazing story of 2 ladies in North Carolina that barely lived through Hurricane Helene. And there are some pictures on there, I just posted them earlier today, of their building that was donated by the generosity of many people in the shed industry and finished off for them. And you can get a good glimpse on there of what folks can do with their buildings.
And so that's on Facebook at Shed Gal.
Correct.
But you know, a lot of people, they have a business in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know how to start something, where they're going to have it. I think the idea of even having a salon, you know, right? You can have it right there in your own home, except to be outside
Absolutely.
in the shed.
Yep, absolutely. We were just working with some folks over in Avondale where the wife works out of their home. And, you know, she's like, I'm just tired of it, you know, I gotta make a sandwich, or I gotta do the laundry. And so they wanna get a building for their backyard that is her designated office.
I think it's
to be
awesome.
finished off.
I know somebody that made their closet into something, and instead of having to deal with that, because that can't be big enough for anything,
Right.
this way they could have their own shed. And their number is, think about this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great, great, great way of even starting your own business. So their phone number is 888-917 8335. The website is shedgal.com. Pretty simple to remember. You also have a TV show too. Everybody's going on TV these
I
days.
know.
Okay, let's hear about that.
So the show that it's going to premiere next Sunday, it's called The Blocks, BLOX, and it's not syndicated. It's an entrepreneurship boot camp put on by Wes Bergman, who's been on MTV, many shows. He's on The Traitors right now. He was on Villains, House of Villains here a couple months ago. It was the most educational 8 days of my entire life as far as things to implement in my business. And I'm excited for it to air. And it was just a fantastic opportunity to meet other entrepreneurs, because sometimes it's lonely being an entrepreneur.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard for someone, when I worked a regular job, it was hard for me to imagine how it's like to own a business. And so, you know, being on the other end of that, the connections I made taping that show are lifelong connections.
And when is that coming out?
It will start airing next Sunday.
Now, do you have that information yet on your website?
I will be putting it on the website this week,
Okay.
shedgal.com, and on Facebook at shedgal.
So, you know, that's pretty awesome with that. Also, you do a lot of giving, right? And so I want you to tell, I know you were telling a little bit about that story earlier, but, you know, you just donated another, is that a different shed or the same shed?
So North Carolina was decimated by the hurricane, and we were out there about 6 weeks after it happened and saw a lot of the devastation for ourselves. Very good friend of mine in the industry, Sam Byler. I call him the king of the shed industry. He has spearheaded over 600 sheds, most of which have been finished off by volunteers and with donations, and has donated, as of last week, 543 of those buildings to people in desperate need in North Carolina. And what we did is just a small part of that. I mean, it's this industry is absolutely so incredible.
You know, you
And
don't
it's great
think
to
of
be
it.
part of it.
You don't think of it in those terms,
Yeah.
right? Most people think it's for men only, you know, and it's really
Right,
not.
man
You say-
cave.
Right? But, and not even thinking of it as a man cave. They think of it more for just, you know, put my tools in there, right?
Get the stuff out of the garage.
Right,
Yeah,
mhm.
exactly. So again, we've sold buildings for every purpose that you can imagine.
And they have different sizes, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
all sorts of shapes and sizes, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah,
yeah, so here we represent Willow Lake Buildings. And they're a local company, absolutely fantastic family. And I'll tell you, I worked for a big box company of sheds, and they're a good company, but there's no comparison in the service that you receive when it's a local company. So
And let me ask
Yeah.
you why you need that type of a service for a shed.
this is a real life example. You know, a shed is delivered to a customer, the door doesn't open and close, and then they're told it's gonna be 2 or 3 months before that door that should close gets fixed, and we didn't wanna partake in that. I like that this company backs us in taking care of our customers. We do the other benefit is we do on-site builds, so many of us live in HOAs.
was just gonna ask.
Yeah, we have,
Okay.
you know, those 3-foot gates, we're not getting a 10 or 12 or 14-foot wide building through your gate. So we do on-site builds, or we can deliver it intact.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That must be hard to do.
Well, I actually delivered buildings part-time up in Washington State, and that, I have the utmost respect for shed haulers, because that is a hard job. But as long as someone has access, we have what's called a hydraulic mule, and we put wheels underneath one end of the building and we move it into place.
No, you know, you also have a blog that you have, is that correct? Is this a blog, or what is this, right, or building?
Building.
That you already told a story. You
Yeah.
told that story.
The
So,
finished off
I
building.
do wanna ask you, what the process is, so when somebody calls and they wanna get a shed, do they talk to somebody about what they're looking for, you know, what size, and does it work like that you have somebody that helps them decide all of that?
Right, absolutely. So, yes, we're gonna ask you a lot of questions when you come in and call, and we're open 7 days a week. We also do U-Haul, and we have play sets available at our lot. But we're gonna ask you a lot of questions. We're gonna find out, where is delivery? Can you have a shed fully built, delivered, or do you need it intact? What size? What are you gonna use it for? Do you need us to wire it for electricity? We do that, we can finish off the walls and flooring. So we're gonna ask you a lot of questions. You will see a difference if you call a bunch of dealers. You will see a difference when you call the Shed Gal, that I promise you.
That number to call is 888-917-8335. It's shedgal.com. She's the most well-known woman in her industry. But you know what I hear more than anything, and I'm just getting to know you now, this is the first time,
Yeah,
is that you really know your stuff, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
know it inside and out. You know when people call, you can already tell them what they probably need, right? Unless they have some ideas about obviously doing, I didn't even
Yeah.
think about electricity in their
Yeah,
shed. But there's all
absolutely.
sorts of things you're gonna need. And how long does it take for delivery on these things?
So that varies depending, I mean, if you order a shed from us now in Arizona, we're looking probably 6 to 8 weeks out, and it's well worth the wait.
It's probably phenomenal when you get it.
Yeah,
And you know what?
absolutely.
They're the people to call when you are looking for a shed, or whatever you wanna call it. It could be anything.
That's right. You
Again-
can call it whatever you want.
The number to call again is 888-917-8335. Again, that's 888-917-8335. And you know what? Maybe it's you or someone that you know. You better tell them about this because they're gonna love it. Again, it's 888-917-8335. It's shedgal.com.